Shop. To order at this time is 3:30, September 17, 2018. If we can have roll call. Go ahead, Michelle.
Dominic,
Present.
Jackson, Lynn, Bowman, Hawthorne,
Present.
Watts, Middleton, Atkins, Chavez,
Here, ma'am.
Smith, Johnson.
If we'll all rise, Commissioner Cawthorn will lead us in the pledge of, the invocation, and Commissioner Chavez will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Good afternoon. We all bow our heads, please. Dear gracious eternal Father, we come to you this evening with bowed down and humble hearts. We are grateful and appreciative for the people who are assembled here today to conduct themselves as commissioners, citizens, and a newscast. We pray that the information that's discussed in this office and this building today will be did in decency and in order, and that harmony will succeed. In Christ Jesus' name, we offer this petition. Amen.
Amen.
Everybody face the flag, render the proper salute. Repeat after me. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Cawthorn, Commissioner Chavez. Thank y'all for leading us off before we start. Did want to wish Dr. Wilson a happy belated birthday, and also Commissioner Gerald Bowman a happy birthday. So thank you, guys. Thank you, sir. And what are you going on, 42?
Dr. Wilson, you want to know where everybody chuckles?
You like me. I'm your favorite commissioner now. All right.
Wishful thinking.
Moving on to our next item is our agenda additions. I have none. Todd, do you have anything?
No, sir, do not.
Moving to citizens' comments. Citizens who wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and forward it to myself or the clerk of the commission. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. I do have one comment card. If anybody else wants to make a comment who's not on the agenda today, please go fill out a comment card. Our comment card is Luther Cox. Mr. Cox, are you present? Yes. How you doing, Mr. Cox? If you can come up and go to the microphone. And you have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Again, I would like...
Inner City, you're with the Inner City, is that right?
Yes, sir. Inner City Road Modern Dance Company.
Well, we appreciate you coming today, and thank you very much.
I appreciate you all having me today and allowing me to speak. I was just coming to find out we had a congratulatory letter for our 2018 project, which was a music and dance festival up on the Cooper Road, but we never got a contract for 2018.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again now?
We applied for a...
NGO funding?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And we got the letter saying that we were appropriated monies, but we never got the contract.
Okay. Can someone, I know we don't have, can someone help him out?
My recollection is that actually a contract was sent and it was brought back. And it's on my desk for review as to why it's brought back and to see if it needs to be modified.
Yes,
or
ma'am.
can be modified.
Yes, ma'am. I told Mrs. Toller that it was a contract for 2017 for the project that we had already done in Vivian. So it was the same contract that I have right here, whereby you all had already paid us for that. But the 2018 was for the festival that we held on the Cooper Road.
It's on my desk for review and I will take a look at it.
If you can give Miss Frazier some time to look at it, if you hadn't heard from her, maybe you want to call down to the commission building and leave a message for her by the end of the week, I would say. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Next item, Todd.
I
don't have any other ones. If I missed any, I got a lot of stuff on my paperwork. Anybody fill out a card? Okay, Todd, going ahead. Next one.
Next, we move to visitors. Ms. Stacy Brown, President, Shreveport-Bossier Convention and Tourism Bureau.
Good afternoon, Stacy. Nice to see you again.
Good afternoon.
Looking forward to your update as always.
Appreciate y'all allowing me to come before you today to give you a little report on the Miss USA and the Miss Teen USA pageants that happened in May this year. I want to thank you, first of all, for your assistance with that event. It would not have been possible to hold the event without your assistance. And Really want to say thank you for that. And we have a poster here for you to hang up in your offices to really let people know how great it was to have the pageants in our community. So it has a little bit of the Times article as well as some photographs in that as well. I want to say a special thanks to Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts for her participation in the parade, and I think you've got a little picture there. As you can see from the water that's at your desk as well, a number of local businesses really jumped in and said, hey, we want to help promote this. So Music Mountain Water was a sponsor, and they did some special label water for us, and that was distributed throughout the region as well. At your desk, you also have a copy of the competition publicity report from the Miss Universe organization, and it outlines the successful media coverage that the pageants garnered. In there, you can see that the Miss USA pageant itself had over 17.5 million viewers nationally. Now, that is talking about broadcast media covering the event. That is not the Fox telecast of the event, so that's over and above that. Then where you see it says there was a value, there were 67 million local local is the hometowns of the contestants. So that's the 51 hometowns of the contestants themselves for the Miss USA, as well as another 51 for the Miss Teen. And actually this portion is just for the Miss USA. So the total value of the television or broadcast media was 7.2 million. The domestic online engagement was 287,758. Of those, I said, how many of those mentioned Shreveport-Bossier? And it was 279,629. So almost all of those online engagements included Shreveport-Bossier. They were not just generic coverage of the pageant itself. Internationally, we garnered another 15,426. The social media impressions were also of great importance to our community, not only locally but outside our market as well. They generated 4.4 million impressions at a value of over $1 million. The domestic and international broadcast valuation, that's the actual live broadcast of the Miss USA contest, was 6.3 million domestic viewers at a value of over $3.5 million. The number of media articles covering the pageant was a little over 6,100, and of those, almost 3,400 also talked about Shreveport-Bossier in our community. So the total media value for the Miss USA pageant was over $13 million. The Miss Teen added another $2.2 million. And this is just the media valuation. This does not include any of the spend in our local market. They estimate the pageants, the Miss Universe organization itself, spent about $3 million in our community. That does not include all of the visitors that came. That's their direct spend. Perhaps what's more important to us is the actual visitors who came to Shreveport-Bossier. The contestants brought a significant number of family and friends to the area to experience all that we had to offer. We saw that firsthand, many of them coming in significantly a number of sometimes days or weeks prior to the pageants themselves occurring. And for example, following the pageants, Miss Nebraska, who became Miss USA here, she was on the Kelly and Ryan show, and she announced that she didn't have to make a lot of phone calls because 25 of her closest family and friends were here from Nebraska in the audience viewing the pageant. So a significant number of those who attended were from outside of our market, many of them flying into our market. So we can easily estimate that the two pageants generated more than 7,000 hotel room nights in our community. The Miss Universe organization itself purchased 3,500 room nights. That was for the contestants and their staff. If you estimate that each of the contestants, there were 102 of them, generated only 2 room nights each, that's over 2,000 room nights addition to that. That's not including the other vendors that came into town. For instance, the Chi organization was one of the major sponsors. And they brought a significant number of their staff members to take care of the ladies as they were on stage. If you were there in attendance, you saw them rushing out at every break, coming to take care of the ladies. So all of those are not included in that count. So that's additional people as well. Then, of course, there were a number of people who just enjoy pageants and wanted to come and spend some time in our market just to enjoy that event. We saw an increase in our airport traffic. The Lyft and Uber drivers were ecstatic about the number of visitors that they hosted. Then our rental car companies were also excited about their uptick in business. Our local restaurants and businesses saw significant increases. Many of those pageant parents coming in and saying, you know, this is my daughter. I'm going to make sure she is well represented here, and our family is going to have a great time. So they spent a significant amount of money in our market, some of them flying in on private planes as well. The quality of life is another aspect to consider. You know, how many times can you say the Miss USA and the Miss Teen USA pageants were held in my hometown? I cannot tell you how many people I've received emails and calls from or stopped me on the street to say, thank you for bringing the pageants. We enjoyed being a part of it in some way. They may have come to the parade. They may have gone to one of the other public events or purchased tickets to the pageants, but they enjoyed those. The contestants also got out and visited our local community. They went to a number of nonprofit organizations, some hospitals and others, some schools, to do visits and encourage students to stay in school and be active. In fact, the Miss USA, the former Miss USA, was current reigning Miss USA at that time, was a nuclear scientist. So one of her stops was at Starbase, and she talked to the students as they were coming through Starbase that day, really encouraging them to utilize their brains and not just their beauty. So that quality of life is another important aspect. So your investment of $50,000, I think, generated a significant impact. I believe the local direct economic impact is over $4 million, not to mention the local people that were hired, the local companies that were hired, and more than $15 million in media value. When talking with a number of the pageant officials, what they did is they hired some outside companies that came in, but a lot of those also used local contractors. For instance, one of those was the decorator company that did the decorations at the Hirsch Coliseum. If you saw those, they were exquisite. One of their comments to me was that company was of such a quality that we will be using them on other projects throughout the country. So it has a residual effect out into our community. We also think, well, they happened in May, it's over and done with. I got a text from one of my cousins that lives in Central Texas saying, I was online with my daughter watching the Miss Teen pageant, and guess who I saw in the audience, and sent me a text with my picture out in the audience. So it's continuing to have that effect over into our community. So I just wanted to come, tell you thank you, bring you a little memento from the occasion. The water, it's safe to drink, it's still good water, or you're welcome to put it on your shelf and keep it as a commemorative of your event. So President Dominic, Commission, Dr. Wilson, I just wanted to say thank you for your participation and your help in hosting this event, and we look forward to doing more projects with you in the future.
Stacy, think you have at least one commissioner, Commissioner Lyndon Johnson.
Hi, Stacy. You guys put on a very good pageant here in Shreveport. You put Shreveport on the map again, even though we hit it for the Independence Bowl, but this was another occasion in which Shreveport could shine. And thanks for all the hard work that you guys did.
Thank you.
Looking at the presentation you gave us, what is the total economic impact? I think I might have missed it.
Now that report is actually just on the media value.
Okay.
So we're still gathering a few numbers to put a final economic impact, but it'll be over $4 million.
Okay.
Economic impact.
All right. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Stormy,
Thank
Gage
you.
Watch.
Thank you, President. I would just like to say thank you for my beautiful portrait here in this frame. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be able to host this event with you all. It was simply beautiful. And I know when we had the mud bugs to come down, I talked about the decorations, of course, that was done. So I'm not surprised to hear that someone outside of this area were looking at them, because if I had not been from Shreveport, I would not even have known what the Hirsch Coliseum looked like without all of those decorations. It was absolutely beautiful. Everyone who we met, they were warm and inviting, and I hope that they felt the same thing from us. So thank you for this. I hope that we can do many more projects like this. I know that in order for us to be a destination location, this is the type of exposure that we will need. So thank you for all your hard work that you did to make sure that we could get this event here also.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing up the mud bugs and Hirsch Coliseum. George's Pond was an excellent venue.
Yes.
And they worked, kudos to them, they worked extremely hard to bring that venue up and to do a lot of extra things, and they had a very can-do attitude of, can this happen? Absolutely. Let's see what we can do to make it happen. So kudos to them. But it showed not only them what the possibilities were for that building, but it showed a lot of other people what possibilities there are for that building. So I think we will see some more things there as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
And I just wanted to piggyback and say a couple things. That was, I went to the actual pageant, and it was, like the Hirsch Coliseum. It looked like something you would see in Hollywood. It was just fabulous the way they made that up. It was incredible. Y'all did a great job.
Thank you.
I couldn't go to everything, and so I turned over some of the stuff to Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts. I think I did an excellent job. Have not heard but great things about her being in the parade and all the help that she gave. Of course, she was the one that kind of came to the head to sponsor it and make sure this got pushed through. So thank you, Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, for your help. And Stacy, thank you, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
For the opportunity.
Appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay. Todd, we're moving on to our next item.
Next, we move to Mr. David R. Smith, Executive Director, Entrepreneurial Program.
Dave, how you doing today?
Doing great, doing
Appreciate
great.
you coming here today, and we'll turn it over to you for your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is my annual update on the Entrepreneurial Acceleration Program. We've been in this, building this entrepreneurial ecosystem together for 4 years. And I'm the Executive Director of the program, 2031 Kings Highway, a division of the BRF. Today I'm going to give you some metrics. I'm going to update you where we are so far in the program. But I really want to lead with, if you look at economic growth today, the SBA says that over 54% of all people employed in the state of Louisiana are in small businesses. Additionally, right now, startups are the #1 generator of new jobs and new capital in the United States. Prior to 2014, when we started EAP, Caddo Parish and the city of Shreveport were struggling to build that entrepreneurial ecosystem. Thanks to you and your support, we've really started to kick that off. And in a lot of cases, people look at Shreveport as a startup-friendly community. And EAP is an economic development activity, and you, the commission, are in the economic development game. If you look at where we are today, EAP is trending 54% above the benchmark set in 2014. If you look at the chart, right now, EAP to date has actually sat down with over 624 startup companies. Of that, about 50 have actually launched. That's 390% higher than what we goaled ourselves. And if you look back when we started this, many of you are still on the commission, we went to Texas and we kind of modeled ourselves after Austin, some of the Austin numbers, some of the Oklahoma City numbers, some Dallas numbers. So we're outperforming our peers if you look at this. We only set a goal of 10. But we generated 49 startups. Those 49 startups, so the real economic impact there is $64 million in investment, banking, or grants, mostly federal grants, to these startups. $11 million of it was Embera's NIDA win, all right? That was a LSU health science technology that we helped kick off. Those 50 companies generated about $6.6 million in annual payroll to Caddo Parish. The BRF, when we got started, the mission you gave us was to help diversify the economy. If you look at where we are today, can you switch the chart, please, Jay? Those 624 different companies are broken down into the following categories, and I'll kind of run them down for you and tell you where we're at. So what we've seen is about 39% of those are in oil and gas, transportation, and food service. 25 are in the technology area, which is where we focus most of our efforts. Customer goods and services about 15%. 14% is healthcare. That's down from last year, the last update. A little alarming given that healthcare is the largest industry in our parish. Media is about 6%. That continues to trend downward. And 1% is financial technology. Recently, you might have seen in the paper, the mayor and Commissioner Dominic came over to Intertech One, and we do our annual event where we unveil, 10 new startups and in Intertech. And just to give you a rundown of where those are at, one of them is a company called Oleolive, a biotech company. Tomac, a commercial and residential glass company. Asteri Networks is a web-based entertainment media network company. The New Louisiana Product Team. It's one of the few places in North Louisiana where if you want to get a prototype built, that's the place you go to. 2 Louisiana Tech grads, engineers, chose to start their business right here in Shreveport. GeoCareer, oil field visualization technology. SantaClean, a chemical cleaning company. Serafil, an LSU health science doctor, invented a new implant for voice. Winfred Dance, a local dancer starting her own dance apparel company. And Golden Ticket Studios, a movie studio production. And Hope Pharmacy. They're the North Louisiana Soul Marijuana Pharmacy. They'll be opening this year. We wouldn't have been able to do this without the support of the Caddo Parish Commission, and we look forward to your support in future years doing this. The key thing here is that's a 30-to-1 return on your investment. For every dollar that the parish put into EAP, given that math, you got 30 back in the parish. Something new, and I want to, you're the first ones really to hear about this. Because of the success we had in EAP in Caddo Parish, we went out and applied for a Department of Commerce Economic Development Agency grant. And this is big because it's a $600,000 two-year grant to EAP to expand our services to 20 parishes in North Louisiana. And that's because of the success that we had in Caddo Parish. So we took the model that you helped build, we took it to the federal government and said, we think we can impact North Louisiana with this model. In return, they gave us a $600,000 grant. That grant's going to get spent right here in Caddo Parish. My core team, which all of you know, will stay here doing what they're doing for Caddo in the city of Shreveport. I'm going to have to hire 3 more analysts to cover those 20 other parishes. Now, I'm not going to stop supporting Caddo Parish because it's important to remember the services that are required for these startups, most of them technology-based, okay, have to come to Shreveport to get support, whether it's accounting, legal, like I mentioned earlier, prototyping. They have to come here, all right? There's no other way. You are the economic center for North Louisiana. So it's really a good thing for us. And what we'll be doing under this model is we'll take the way we do business right now. Prior to this, we could not, if someone came to us, say from Ouachita Parish or Lincoln Parish or even Bossier Parish, we could not, if they refused to move to Caddo, we couldn't help them. Now, we'll leverage this federal grant and we'll be able to help them and extend our services across North Louisiana. That's my update, Mr. President. If you have any questions.
We've got a couple. Commissioner Hankins?
Dave, I just want to thank you all for the work that you do. You've certainly made an impact in our community over the last 5 or so years. I've seen a market change in the amount of startup activity in our community, and that's largely a function of EAP and the support that Caddo Parish provided for EAP. You all, in conjunction with, in particular, the Startup Prize and also COHAB, I think work as a nice team to provide those services to our community. And other communities have noticed. I've noted that the last time I was at a startup gathering, there were people from Memphis there, and people from New Orleans there, and people from Southwest Louisiana there.
Yes, sir.
So you all done some nice work, and just wanted to recognize you for that and thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
Whose district are y'all in? Do we know?
Mr. Bowman.
Gerald Bowman.
Okay, all right. I was just saying that's a very positive thing to have, your facility there and in his district. I was just wondering whose district it is, but everything I've seen, y'all been doing a great job, working hard, and hope to keep it up.
Thank you, sir. Greatly appreciate it.
Commissioner Jackson?
Yeah, Dave, could you go back to that slide, the one about the breakdown in the areas?
The pie chart?
There it is.
Yeah, the pie chart. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and do you have y'all looked to see what might be the reason why?
We have.
Healthcare kind of took a little dip, or do y'all care to share? Is that something that y'all would like to get together on? I'm just curious to know.
We have looked at the numbers. I'll tell you, 40% of that. I mean, we track it every possible way: gender, race, everything. There are some barriers out there to entrepreneurship. So much so that we couldn't put our finger on it, but we're going to commission a study, a 2-year study, and we're going to bring somebody in, probably one of the academic institutions, and they're going to actually look at the barriers to entrepreneurship in North Louisiana.
Yeah, and I'm not so much concerned about what segment or demographic it took the dive in. I was just saying healthcare in general. You said it took a dive, and I was just trying to see if we
yes, sir, it did. We didn't see nearly as many biomedical startups as we saw in the past.
And I would, the oil, gas, and transportation is all lumped into one.
It is.
Could you segment out all? Because I was under the understanding that it
small percentage, it might be 10% of that. Because if you're going to do something in the oil and gas, there are much smarter, more experienced individuals in this community, if you've got an oil and gas technology that you're going to go to, than the BRF.
Can you do me a favor? Can I complete a question?
Sure.
I was under the assumption that oil was sort of on an uptick. So is it better than previous years? Is it getting better? Or are y'all tracking that?
We are tracking it, and it is getting better, but it's not enough to where we could really comment.
Kind of gauge it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I like how y'all have gotten sort of down in the weeds and the details. Would love to come kind of sit over.
Right. Absolutely.
Discuss.
I'll tell you the most alarming thing for me on this is when I really dig deep into the numbers. Minority women are underrepresented and below the national average in Shreveport and Caddo, as well as veterans. I think the veteran average was above 8%, and we're below 4%. So only 4% of the entrepreneurs that I see are veteran-owned businesses. So if I was going to, dig deeper or try to look at why, we'll definitely address those two areas.
And maybe maybe we can get together, or if you could just shoot it to me. We don't necessarily have to get together face to face. If you could shoot me some more detail, and also maybe age. Do y'all look at it?
We do. We track age.
Okay. All right. And would love to, with Oshner's coming in, I know BRF is kind of pulling back a little bit. I hope that y'all would stay hand in hand with that. I know MIT just recently teamed up with Boeing to do an expansion sort of around medical technology as well as aerospace technology. and so they're going to try to put it all under one big roof. And hopefully with Oshner's coming in, that's going to be a partnership that will take off and be a catalyst for what you're doing. Because what I see, particularly with UAB, MIT, and UT Austin, is that, you know, their incubator is tied into, and I see y'all as sort of an ideas innovation incubator for the region, is tied into that medical component, and it helps grow those ideas at an exponential rate, and then they're getting a huge multiplier. So I'd say keep up the good work, and I'll be glad to get some of your more intricate details.
Happy to go through them with you.
Appreciate you, Dave. And congratulations on your grant. I thought it was a big secret. I hadn't heard about it, but hadn't told anybody. So at least
out.
you know, at least you know I can keep a secret, right?
Yeah, it's out now. It's public.
Congratulations.
Commissioner Vice President Cawthorn.
Thank you, Doug. I want to first of all applaud you guys, the effort that BRF is doing as it relates to the the entrepreneur program, and the successes that you guys have. It's good that we're here locally looking at stuff in a more visionary perspective. I got two questions for you. The first question is, when you talked about the 1% as it relates to the finance, those are like apps for
banking,
phone app, that sort of thing?
That's
okay.
fintech, yes, sir.
Okay. And then the second question would be, can you drill down just a little bit as it relates to the grant that you're going to receive from the federal government, how that's going to augment what we guys are currently doing with you all to benefit the citizenry of Caddo Parish?
Well, the purpose of the grant is to extend our services to 20 other parishes.
Okay.
That was the first requirement. Now, what that means is that we can leverage all of the capability of Caddo Parish. And what that means is accountants, lawyers, the ability to do prototyping. Right now in North Louisiana, if you want to prototype something, you're probably leaving North Louisiana.
Okay.
You're probably going to Dallas, or you're going to Austin. Most of the ones that we have seen, if it's biomedical prototyping, you're probably going to California. What that'll allow us to do now is actually funnel the North Louisiana technology startups through Shreveport and Caddo Parish to get services first. And then if we can't satisfy them first, then you know, like always, we'll go to where we have to.
It would be a center of excellence.
It will, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks.
What'd you say, John? I'm sorry.
Center of excellence,
Okay.
where people would focus from around the area.
Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
As well as Barksdale Air Force Base and Fort Polk, the Overton Brooks Medical Center pulls in veterans from as far north as Little Rock, as far south as Alexandria, as far east as Jackson, as far west as Longview. And so that percentage of 4% is alarming, considering the amount of veterans that are here and working through the center on Wilkinson and Uri Drive, as well as the volunteer outreach that they have. What are y'all doing to connect with them? Because they have the center, for instance, on the corner of Wilkinson and Uri, does veteran outreach.
We are reaching out to the transition center. So ideally for us in Shreveport Caddo, a veteran who's transitioning out that has a startup idea, hopefully we can start capturing them and get them, rather than go off, go to DC or go up to Nebraska to start your startup company. What we want to do is capture them at that transition point before they get out, and educate them that you can start your technology-based startup in Shreveport. Most recently, we kept one of our entrepreneurs from leaving. She was going to California. She believed that she had to go to California to start this tech company. And what we showed her was that, look, you can raise this money, but your money's going to go twice as far in Shreveport and Caddo than it's going to go if you go to Silicon Valley. All right, you're just not going to make it. So,
is there an aspect that you can tap into similar to like a GI Bill, where there's federal money supporting the veterans and helping them establish their
I am not
ideas?
aware of a VA program that does that.
are your grant writers, I guess they will be looking if they're not
We
looking
are,
already?
we are. I mean, that was one of the, since we won our first federal grant, you know, we're looking at every possible funding agency to try to come up with a funding mechanism that we could focus on veteran-owned businesses starting in Louisiana.
I would just think that with the number of veterans that we have here, that our number would be over 8% and not below half of that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good idea.
Commissioner Chavez?
Thank you, President. David, thanks for coming down. I like the 40-time ROI that you guys are showing. Fortunately, it's not the 80 times that Stacy Brown toted with the
Absolutely.
Miss T.
Congratulations,
Miss USA.
Stacy.
However, I get it.
They're
Your
better
companies
looking
don't
than
have
I am.
51 beautiful spokeswomen that are trying to sell the products. A couple questions I have for you on the federal grant amount. How much was awarded to you guys?
$600,000 for 2 years.
600.
So we would get approximately $300,000 for 2 years.
That sounds splendid. Does that mean you're going to ask us for less money?
No, sir.
You knew that was coming. And lastly, David, on the others, the oil to gas transportation, you said you didn't really want to get into that sector because there's more experts in this area. Just for our knowledge, what vertical are you guys trying to operate within?
We're really trying to operate in the tech, IT, software, and biomedical. That's where we see right now the biggest return.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, David. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, sir.
Lyndon, Commissioner Lyndon Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. President. Going back to the grant, you said it's covering 20 different parishes.
Yes, sir.
So are those parishes also putting some money into
No, sir.
EAP?
No, they are not.
All right, so any potential funds that we give you, will those monies be commingled with that money to
No,
go into
sir,
those
they will
20
not.
parishes?
They will not.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Chavez?
Thanks. David, I'm sorry I forgot this last thing. He brought it up. I know we have a clause that's written in your grant. For any local entity awarded the grant or the help, they have to stay within Caddo Parish as far as their core business. How are you guys going to work that into the federal grant?
Well, because we get city and parish money, that does not change. Okay? So if you're a Caddo or Shreveport resident, that stays the same. It's a 10-year requirement, and a minimum of 51% of the company must remain in Caddo Parish. So they'll stay on that Caddo side. The ones that are, say, Lincoln or Ouachita Parish, all right, they will not be subject to that because our accounting system allows us to track projects by individual project. So it will be charged to the federal project and not the Caddo Parish or the city project.
Thank you, David. Thank you, President. That's all.
Thanks, David. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson?
I just got one more question, Dave. Y'all just, these are just ideas. Do they bring a product to you ever?
Sometimes. We entertain any service, product, or technology. It was one of the decisions we made when we started EAP, was we weren't going to stovepipe. So we've done everything from pet products to biomedicals. And that's because we need impact in the community.
I'm just curious, because media and entertainment, they have a local sales tax rebate, but none of the others. Maybe there may be some room for a local sales tax rebate or something for startup. What do you think? Or
I think the movie industry individuals would greatly appreciate anything that we can do.
They get it already, but none of the others do. I don't think it would have us.
Well, you do on your technology base.
That's
there
at the
are
state level, right?
State, you do have state.
But there's no local, so you could. The media and entertainment can kind of layer their state and local. I don't think any of those others can layer. And these are not. Well, you have services, but like your financial, I was interested in when Commissioner Carthon asked. Financial is not somebody bringing you, hey, I want to start a CPA firm. How do I do it? Right. That sounds like a.
Right, it's somebody that wants to develop a new investment or banking application.
So that wouldn't go into your tech numbers?
It kind of would go across because you would try to get them a state incentive on the technology development.
R&D. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I'm interested in looking at what we may be able to do to help sort of scale up some of those other numbers. So appreciate it, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, Mr. Hopkins, moving on to our next item.
Next, we move to reports, administrative report.
Dr. Wilson?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, President Dominic, Commissioners. We just have one thing today. We placed at your stations the the 2018 financial income report at your stations. We're required to based on our audit reports, let you know that's through my report as well as me mentioning it to you verbally. So if you have any questions about that, we'll be glad to answer those questions for you related to that matter. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
Anybody, any questions for Dr. Wilson? Okay. Moving on to our
Next, we
next.
move to commission remarks. The commission will sit as a tax board of review on Thursday, September 20th, during the regular session.
It's my understanding there are nothing.
There are no appeals. that's
Okay.
correct.
Anybody have any remarks? I've got one. I just wanted to let everybody know if you didn't, kind of thought it was, I don't want to say funny or anything, but, you know, Sheriff sends us these reports, I mean, appreciate his reports on when they go to the Caddo Parish Courthouse or the Caddo Juvenile Court and the things that they find there and the hard work they're doing. And I know Mr. John's out there, just want to tell you, a dental probe. But the biggest thing is a lipstick laser. Did everybody see the picture of that? What is a lipstick laser? So they're obviously working hard to find a lot of different things. You know, one time they found was it a plastic snake or a real snake or something? So anyway, tell the sheriff to keep up the good work. All right, Commissioner Lyndon Johnson, are you on the board? Or is that for four? Okay. Anybody else on the board?
I'm on the board, Mr. President.
Commissioner Lynn Cawthorn?
All right, thank you, Mr. President. I want to remind all the members of the Finance Committee, that's the Finance Committee meeting this Thursday at 12 noon. And for all the committee members, the packet will be put in your mailbox for review. And this is for the annual contract, for the banking contract for our services here at Caddo Parish. So make sure you check your box for that. If you're on the committee, make sure you check your box for that packet.
Is it there now? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be.
Thank you.
It's these right here, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, move. Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, can I get a copy of that pack? Are we privileged to a copy of that packet?
Well, initially, it's just all the members of the committee, but I guess Finance could provide you one.
Okay. How many responses did we get?
6.
Any local?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
They all have to have a branch now.
Yeah.
Well, branch, I meant like,
Oh,
like.
there's no really local banks anymore.
Well, when I mean local, like community versus national bank.
They're all national.
So no community bank?
Well, we got one that was formed, we got one that was started here locally. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it.
Louisiana.
Next item.
President's report.
We'll just postpone that to Thursday. Next item.
We have no old business. We move to new business. Authorized introduction of ordinance number 5797-2018, amending the budget estimate revenues and expenditures of solid waste fund, capital outlay fund for the year 2018 to appropriate FEMA grant proceeds in the amount of $323,742,000 and grant match in the amount of $107,914,000.
Move to advance.
It's been
Second.
moved by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts. Let's see, is anybody on the board to speak on this?
Yeah, it's two pieces.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson.
I was just gonna make a substitute motion to englobo and advance ordinance number 5797, 5798, and resolution number 62, resolution number 63.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Stephen Jackson to englobo ordinance number 5797, 5798, and also resolution number 62, and off-road. And did you say 63 too?
Yes, 63,
Okay,
64, 65, 66.
64,
Second.
65, and 66. That's been made by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and seconded by Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
That's all I was gonna do.
I want to hurry up and get back to work.
Anybody got any questions? No questions, please vote.
That's teasing.
They were paying you to be here, right?
Right, y'all paying. I want to be double dip.
That passes 11-0. Moving to our next item.
Authorize reappointment to the Industrial Development Board, Mr. Brad Schmidt.
Second.
My
bad.
You gotta give it a motion. Commissioner.
Make the motion move till Thursday,
Motion's made by Commissioner John Atkins, seconded prior to the motion being made by Commissioner Jackson. Please vote. That passes 11-0.
Authorize Mr. Gregory Kalenberg, Louisiana Film Prize as visitor for regular session.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Chavez, seconded by Vice President Cawthorn. Please vote.
I just want to
Okay, Commissioner Jackson.
just clarification, Todd. That's KALLENBERG. So just as a matter of record.
Add a L,
Add
take
a
out the
L.
U, add a E.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Please vote.
Good catch, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Hung up.
Mr. Chavez?
It's all hung up here. He's voted.
It's pressed. I'll hit it again, Tom.
There we go.
You're kind of like hitting that elevator button. The more you hit it, it's going to come down if you hit it enough. Okay, so that passes 11-0. Next item.
Committee, communications and committee reports.
Does anybody else have any communiques or committee reports? Stephen, you on board? I can't.
No, I'm not. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll make a statement.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to let you all know that the Economic Development Committee did meet last week to discuss economic development proposals, and those will be forwarded to administration that'll incorporate them into the budget, and then we'll all vote on them at budget time.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to our next item.
Citizen comments, late arrivals. I have no cards.
I have none.
Next, we move to the consent agenda.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Thursday.
Adjourn. See y'all Thursday.